Hello, members, one and all of the Salivation Nation, with a follow-up to the video about the Scythian gold from Small Gold. This is a Newsweek article that talks about a little spat between Russia and the Netherlands over Crimea. For a little background, let's check out what happened in Crimea. The annexation of Crimea there had occurred, and the timeline: Ukrainian President Viktor Yanukovych announced he will scrap the EU trade agreement in favor of trade with Russia. And then 300,000 protesters descended on Kiev's Independence Square of what becomes known as Ukraine's Revolution of Dignity. That was in December 2000. By the end of February of 2014, over 100 protesters are killed, the majority reportedly shot by government-loyal snipers. Yanukovych is ousted by an alliance of his opponents in parliament and granted asylum in Russia. So he was a pro-Russian Ukrainian president. In Ukraine, Russian-speaking southern region of Crimea, pro-EU protesters are met with pro-Russian protesters. Then between February 27th and 28th, unanimous pro-Russian militants seized public buildings in Crimea. Russia insists they are not their soldiers. Russia's Black Sea Fleet tells troops loyal to Ukraine to flee Crimea. Ukraine's new government accuses Russia of starting a war in Ukraine. President Vladimir Putin condemns the ousting of Yanukovych. In March, he gains the parliament's support to use military force in Ukraine. Pro-Russian groups hold a snap referendum to join Russia. Overseen by Russian troops, they support a union by 95%. The UN Security Council condemns the vote as illegitimate, and Putin welcomes Crimea with a public celebration. They even minted a medal. Okay, the EU and US place asset sanctions on officials close to Putin. Russia is kicked out of the G8, and NATO suspends cooperation with Moscow. Putin admits Russian troops did help annex Crimea. The Russian military designates the February 27th seizure as a holiday for its special forces. Ukraine still considers Crimea to be a part of its territory. There's the backdrop over this. So there's quite a spat there, and I guess it all starts with that pro-Russian Ukrainian president that I can't pronounce his name, or something like that. Anyways, so Moscow has accused the Netherlands of seizing gold artifacts claimed by the Kremlin following Russia's annexation of Crimea in 2014. A collection of gold that dates back to the Scythian era in the 4th century BC was on display in Amsterdam when Moscow invaded Crimea and annexed it from Ukraine almost 3 years ago. A Dutch court ruled last year that Ukraine was the rightful owner of the ancient treasure and it should not be returned to the territory while it is occupied by Russia. Moscow, meanwhile, claims that as Crimea is part of Russia, the artifact should be returned. This can only be compared with the museum plundering during Napoleon's Italian campaigns or the fascist aggressions during World War II, Russian Culture Minister Vladimir Medinsky told news agency RIA Novosti on Thursday. I think the decision of the Dutch court is absolutely politicized and ruins the very system of exhibit exchange. All norms of international law, museum law, past precedents, and traditions are on the side of Crimea's museums. Here's a fascinating closer look at a gold quiver excavated from a Scythian burial mound. Arjan II is on display in the National Museum in Kaisel on July 20th, 2010. The Scythians are ancient nomadic pastoralists living near the Black, Caspian, and Aral Seas. They also were warriors as well. Definitely they were very worthy opponents, especially on horseback. If the Netherlands enacts the court ruling and sends Crimea's Scythian gold back to Ukraine, Medinsky threatened that Russia would halt the exchange of its own cultural property to Dutch organizations. If the decision comes into force, I will have no right to sanction any exhibits of the territory of a country where a most dangerous precedent for the seizure of cultural treasures has been set, he said. Russia took control of Crimea in 2014 in response to mass protests in Ukraine's capital, Kiev, against an increasingly unpopular pro-Russian government that U-turned on a crucial EU trade deal many years in the making on the eve of its signing. A majority of the UN General Assembly voted to reject a snap internationally unobserved pole Russia held within Crimea to split from Ukraine and become a part of Russia. Meanwhile, Russia has doubled down, insisting the territory is lawfully its own and has refused any talks on compromising on its status. The Scythian gold dispute is one of the many legal rifts that the annexation has provoked, as other cases revolve around Russia's bridge to Crimea and the ownership of offshore gas assets. Yes, it's been a disputed region for quite a while, but I'm of the mind that it should be given back to Ukraine. And but nonetheless, it's a very interesting to see how this dispute and to see what will happen to the gold, the Scythian gold that's there. This picture really illustrates the craftsmanship of the people of the day. Look at the intricate details in these pieces. Very, very nice indeed. Fascinating. So post your thoughts below. What do you think is going to happen to this gold? Maybe it'll be just stay in the sounds like it'll probably stay in the Netherlands for a while until this all gets sorted out. Post your thoughts below. I'd like to extend a multitude of gratitude to y'all for watching and encourage you to please rate, comment, and subscribe.